What's going on, the American family? Welcome back to our channel. I'm Andrew.
I'm Free.
And we are TheGhaMericans. So, over the past few days, I've been thinking about my childhood, especially how I was treated as a child, the kind of relationship I had with my parents, and also the kind of relationship my parents thought they had with me. And, it got me thinking. I was like, now it's like the scale has tipped to my favor. Growing up, I used to look up to them like they were in position of power, and then as I began to grow, it's like they also began leveling up with me. But now it's like that, Growing up, I never thought that I would be friends with my parents, because you're scared of them. When you hear your dad coming, you run around and you make sure everything's in order because you're scared. You don't want anything to happen. You hear your mom coming, you're scared, But I think when I got to college, I was like, my mom is my friend, It's like, I don't have to be scared of her anymore. But unfortunately, it's not like that in every African home. Still, people are scared of their parents, even though they're old. The way you said yes, do you have an experience?
Yeah. I don't know if I mentioned it in an old video that we did, but when I lived in Suzhou a few years ago, there was this girl working in China. She was from Africa, and when her mom would call, even if we weren't, maybe we were at the club sometimes partying. Sometimes we could literally just be, at a dinner gathering or lunch gathering. Her mom would call, and she would literally get up from the table and run so her mom wouldn't hear fun going on in the background or music going on in the background, as if she was just there to just work. I can kind of understand maybe if she was in school or something, but even then, on the weekend, have fun. She would literally get up from the table and run full speed and answer her phone in a quiet place.
Wow.
Because she was still so scared of her mom. And this wasn't a young girl. I think maybe she was about 23 years old. I just thought it was weird. But again, that's just a cultural difference. Yeah.
Wow, she was scared of her mom?
Yeah, I'm guessing she still lived at home and she was just working abroad. But when she goes home, she still lives with mom, you know? So I guess maybe that has something to do with it. But I was asking her, girl, why are you running? And she would just be like, oh, well, it's my mom, blah, 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 blah. And I would be like, okay, girl. As for me, I'm wrong.
So wait, how was your relationship with your parents?
So if I can be honest, he knows the relationship I have with my parents. It's pretty much non-existent. He's never met my parents. He's never spoken to them on the phone. Yeah. Anything. So the relationship, again, is pretty non-existent. I have not spoken to my dad since summer 2019 when I left the U.S. and I came back to China to start a new school year. Same with my mom pretty much since August 2019, so almost 4 years now. They didn't know that I was dating. They didn't know that it got serious, so we got engaged. They didn't know I was pregnant. They didn't know I got married. They didn't know anything. I haven't sent them any pictures of their grandson. Nothing, But I think for me, my thing is just because my situation has changed, our situation didn't change. So I don't feel like I need to reach out and be like, oh, here's your grandson, or oh, here's what's going on in my life, if there's not even, we haven't even spoken. So why should you be included in the, things that are going on in my life,
So would you say the breaking apart or breaking off of your relationship with your parents stemmed from childhood, or it was just as you grew older and Do you want to share some stories?
Well, with my mom,
not too deep.
Yeah, of course not. With my mom, definitely, I would say it's a huge like childhood thing. As you get older, you can think on your own. I think parents don't really realize that one day that child is going to grow up and they're going to be an adult. They won't need you anymore. They don't need you to feed them. They don't need you to clothe them. They don't need you to provide them with anything. And once you get to that point, like, it's their choice whether or not they want to allow you to be in their life or not, And again, I don't need her to pay my bills. I don't need her to buy me food. I don't need her to provide me with shelter. I don't need clothes. I don't need anything like physical from her, anything material from her. I can provide myself with my own necessities. I can provide myself with everything that I need for myself, So I hate to say it this way, but what do I need her for? If she's not going to, I guess, provide me with an environment that's positive, provide me with an environment where I feel like she's adding to my life and making my life easier, then what's the point of, you being there? Again, I'm an adult now, so I don't have to deal with certain things anymore. So that's just my mindset. And I'm not even like mad or upset about it, but that's just my mindset.
With this situation, if I flip it around and let's say it happened in Africa, right? In Ghana, let me use Ghana as an example. You will come from a place of fear and a place of, whatever they did, it's okay. I'm old now, I have to take care of them because the Bible says this, the Bible says that. And I feel like, yes, the Bible said, we should do all of that. But at the same time, you're a human, Every little thing that your mom, your dad does is like inputting information in your brain. And at the end of the day, you're going to process that information. Whatever you churn out is as a result of whatever they put into you. So some parents back in Africa, they wouldn't really invest so much into you emotionally. Let me even talk from the point of the fathers. It's unfortunate, but it's bad. Most of the fathers just pay fees. They don't invest emotionally into
fees. What you mean by fees?
Like school fees, fees. Like for me, my father, he never really invested in me emotionally. Like, all right, it's time to pay your school fees. All right, then he pays. That's it. I never went to the park. And we went out today, and then Free was asking me. I think when I was drinking the what's it called? Alien, whatever. And then the driver, I think he slammed on the brake a little bit, and I kind of like jerked it. And she was like, "Oh, you ever been in your father's car and then he slammed the brake and you had to like
the soda goes in your nose
and I was like, I never said it. No.
Yeah.
Like, my father never came home and said, "Hey, I'm going to take you to the park. Let's go here. Let's do this." Even parents-teacher conference, it was like my mom was the one doing everything, And then now that I'm old, with the African setting and the community, you're expected as a child to regardless of whatever they did to you as a child, even though there's no emotional bond, nothing, they expect you to like see your dad or your mom and be excited and jump around and call them. It doesn't work that way because, like I was telling Free, when I close my eyes, I can't pick any memory that says, "Oh, I had this experience with my dad." It's all my mom, It's all my mom. So for me, it has kind of affected me as well. But at the same time, because I'm an African child, I can't really, not from a place of fear or anything, but you can't really say much about this because you'd be labeled as disrespectful.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you'd be labeled as disrespectful. And so you have to tone it down a little bit and just be quiet about it, because you can't really bring it up. And the thing is, most African parents do not equip their kids to be brave. It's like you can't talk. When you want to talk, they say keep quiet. Listen to your elders. Your elders know more than you. You're a child. What do you know? And at the point, I think I was explaining this whole thing to my mom. She didn't really get it. It's like, whatever happens in the past and yada, 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 it's fine. You're old now. You should do this. I mean, yes, but then, well...
Your feelings are still valid,
Yes, still valid. But they can't really acknowledge the fact that is it. And they would, before an African parent would apologize to you, you would have to pull the hair out of either the nose or on top of their head before they even apologize to you. African parents rarely apologize to their kids. Like, to say I'm sorry, I don't think it's in the dictionary of African parents. I think it wasn't part of their encoding when they were growing up.
Yeah.
Seriously, it wasn't part. It wasn't part at all. So, I think I have a few questions. I think I have another question for you.
Okay.
So, like you spoke about how you were treated as you were treated by your mom as a child. How about your dad?
Oh, so my dad, like I've mentioned just briefly in another video that my dad wasn't around. My dad was incarcerated for pretty much at the age that I am, he's been incarcerated for more than half of my life. Yeah, he's not incarcerated anymore, but because he was incarcerated, he wasn't there, So I didn't grow up with my dad, and if I can be quite honest, like, I thought my mom's first husband was my real dad. I had no idea that the guy that would call, my mom, he would call and my mom would be like, oh, your dad's on the phone. And my little 4 or 5-year-old brain, I never said it out loud, but in my head I would be like, but, my dad is here. So, but I would just go along with it and be like, oh, hey, Dad, how you doing? Hey, Daddy, blah, blah, blah. Even though I really didn't comprehend it at that age that the guy on the phone was really my dad. Of course, when he called, the voice was always familiar. So I would just be like, oh, hey, Daddy, that type of thing.
Did you ever ask him, like, you're confused?
No, I never did. No, I never did. I think just because I was so young, I only remember like phone calls from him when I was maybe like 4 or 5 years old. So I didn't have, I guess, enough sense to ask my mom, like, okay, well, who's this other dad that calls on the phone that I've never, seen? And I remember the first time, well, not the first time that, like, seeing him, but the first time my mom took me to visit him in prison, like, I didn't even know.
Really?
Like, I didn't know who he was. Wow. Because when he initially was incarcerated, I was so young, like 1 year old and some change, so I didn't know,
Wow. But how then, if that's the case, how did your mom, or how did you even realize that he was your dad and not the one that you were with?
I think it was after my mom divorced her first husband.
That's when
I think that's when it started to like click for me, like, oh, he's not my real dad. But again, I was so young, and he was the first man that I knew, the first man that I can remember being there. So I didn't understand. I remember when he told, when they decided to separate, they were still married, but he would still come pick me and my brothers up and take us to his house, like on the weekends and stuff, right? Okay. And I remember one time he told me, this is my mom's first husband, not my dad, her first husband, he told me that I couldn't call him daddy anymore, that I had to like call him friend, like I'm just there. He was telling me, trying to explain to me that, okay, you're just, I think maybe 7. Yeah.
Did it make sense?
No. I was just like, okay, daddy. Literally. Oh. As soon as he said it, I was just like, okay, daddy.
But do you think it was necessary for him to do that? Like, for him to like clarify to you at that age?
Well, I think that he was just trying to explain to me that the like mommy and daddy that are no longer together anymore. So that's why,
He'll probably explain that.
Yeah, he was trying to explain it to a 7-year-old. And all I remember was one day or like one weekend, we used to go to his house on the weekends, and then it just stopped. And my mom never said anything and never heard from him again. until like 14 years later.
What?
Yeah.
He just disappeared.
Yeah, because they divorced.
They were divorced.
Yeah, and they moved.
Wow.
You know, they moved on and you know, did their own things. But yeah, that's how it was. And then it was kind of like, oh, that's what he meant by I can't call him daddy anymore. Yeah.
I know I might be stretching this a little bit, but one last thing. The first day that you actually met your dad, do you remember?
Yes. I don't remember like every single detail, but I think I was probably maybe like 6 years old, I want to say. Maybe around 6. And I just remember, like, of course, I don't know if you guys have ever done prison visits before, but it was like we had to like walk through the metal detectors and stuff like that. And I remember my mom had gone to pick up my brother, who's my biological dad's, his son. She had went and picked him up, and she took like me and the kids that are hers. We took like family photos, but she wanted to take my brother as well, my dad's son, because she knows him, of course. So she picked him up, and then me and that brother, we took pictures together just by ourselves. And I remember her sneaking the picture in. She wasn't supposed to, but she had a jacket. So she took her jacket off, and she had the picture like under the jacket, and she snuck it in. And I was like, what is she doing? But of course I wasn't gonna say anything because I didn't want to get popped. But I remember like going through the metal detectors, and I can't remember if it was it wasn't the phone thing. I could actually like, I can't remember if it was like the phone or if I could actually like touch him. You know what I'm saying? Like,
whether it was like a bag, like a glass or something.
I don't think it was that, but I remember like you could see like the prisoners like walking past the mirror, because you don't have to like, you don't just go out. You have to like check and number and sign the time, the date, blah 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 blah, so they can kind of track you. And I remember my mom saying, "There goes your dad," and I was like,
huh?
I was kind of like looking. And for whatever reason, I ran in that direction. And I remember her like grabbing my shoe. I remember her like grabbing my shirt. She's like, wait, you can't just run.
Right. Oh.
You know, but when I heard him talk, of course it was like, oh, that's the voice. Him. It was like the face with the voice. And I was like, oh, now I kind of understand.
You made mention of popping. You know, you don't want to get popped. But we'll come back to the hold on to that though.